Chapter 6. First Days and Returning Names. The sun rose soft that morning, warm but not sharp, as if it, too, knew something important was about to happen. Jabari was starting school. Not just any school, but Shule ya Mlimani, a small, progressive learning center tucked in a valley between Kiunga Ridge and the village of Nyondo. It had just opened, started by a circle of radical educators, mostly women, mostly queer, who believed in curiosity over obedience, and joy over rote learning, the kind of place Amina and Lindaway had once only dreamed might exist for their children. The night before, Jabari had laid out his favorite shirt, the green one with little giraffes on the collar, and asked if he could carry his chalk drawings in a folder to Debi. Show the teacher I already know some magic. Amina brushed his hair gently while he ate breakfast, paw slices, a warm mandazi, and a few roasted cashews. Lindaway packed his lunch in a beeswax wrap, chapati rolls, carrot sticks, and a plum from their garden. Nyasha punted from the corner. Why can't I go too? I also have magic. Smiling, Amina turned to her. You do, baby, but your magic's still ripening, like mangoes. Nyasha wasn't impressed, but perked up when given the solemn job of handing Jabari his pencil case. They all walked together down the red earth path, hand in hand, Jabari bouncing beside them like a sunbeam with legs. At the school gate, a mural painted with vines and constellations welcomed them. The teacher, a soft-spoken woman with silver beads in her hair and ink-stained fingers, crouched to Jabari's height. What gift did you bring today? Holding up his folder, Jabari replied eagerly. My imagination. Then you already belong, a teacher said, rubbing his head. Amina stood longer than necessary by the gate, watching Jabari disappear into a circle of children painting their names onto a large tree canvas. Her fingers twisted a loose thread from her kitenge blouse. Lindaway took her hand. He's okay. I know. It's just, he's never belonged to anyone else but us. He still doesn't. We're just letting the world borrow him. Back home, the house was too quiet without Jabari's voice bouncing off the walls. Even Nyasha seemed to speak softer. Amina was pruning the mint when she heard it, the sound of a car on the gravel path. Not a delivery van, not a friend's motorbike. She looked up and froze. A pale green Peugeot rolled to a stop under the acacia tree. The woman who stepped out wore a pale scarf, pressed trousers, and nervous eyes. Layla, her mother. Layla stood still, her hands knotted in front of her like she was holding an invisible bag of regrets. Amina didn't move. Her fingers clenched around a stem of rosemary. The scent burst open in the air between them. Then Layla said softly, I came. I wasn't sure I should, but you said the door was open. Amina opened her mouth, then closed it again. She turned toward the house, not looking back. You'll want to sit. It's still hot out. She didn't slam the door, but she didn't hold it open, either. They sat on opposite ends of the veranda table. Layla cradled her tea like it might crack if she held it wrong. You've made something beautiful here. Yes, Amina answered sharply. I missed everything, didn't I? A long silence passed between them, and then Amina responded. You missed the naming. You missed his first words. You missed my wedding. You missed my joy. You missed me. Layla's breath caught. Her eyes rimmed with tears she didn't let fall. I didn't know how to see you. I only knew how to see what the world told me was right. Then you saw everyone but me. Nyasha wandered out, sleepy from her nap, thumb in her mouth, curls wild. She paused when she saw the stranger, her eyes sharp and questioning. She padded over to Amina and whispered loudly, Who's this old lady? Amina almost laughed. Layla smiled gently, unsure. I'm your Bibi, if your mama says it's okay. Amina studied her mother for a long beat, then turned to Nyasha. She's someone who's trying to remember my name. By the time Jabari returned from school, he had a painted leaf print and a story about a girl who could talk to frogs. He found Layla sitting cross-legged in the garden, watching Nyasha stack stones. He looked at her, then at Amina, then back. Are you a visitor? Layla nodded. I'm your mother's mother.
Jabari blinked.
Do you know how to plant tomatoes? Layla hesitated, then smiled. Not yet, but I'm willing to learn. He thought about that for a moment, then offered her a small, dirt-covered hand. Okay, but no pulling the roots. They're the best part. That evening, 3 generations sat around the dinner table, shelling peas and sharing stories. The silence wasn't gone, but it had changed shape. No longer a wall, but a path. And in the far corners of the garden, the marigolds opened again. Chapter 7. What the Soil Remembers. Layla stayed in the guest hut, a simple round structure behind the main house. It had once been a seed drying space, then a studio for Mindy Way's sketches, and now, for the first time, it held the unfamiliar weight of family. She rose early, long before the sun crested the hills, and walked barefoot among the rows of spinach and rosemary, careful not to step on the trailing vines. She didn't ask questions, she just observed, listening, watching how her daughter moved through the world she'd built without her. On the 3rd morning, she asked Amina if she could help harvest amaranth. Amina looked at her from behind the tomato trellis, her expression unreadable. Do you know how? No, but I'm willing to learn. A moment passed then. Amina passed her a small woven basket. Start with the red ones, and talk to them when you pick. They don't like silence. Layla began picking up on small things. How Lindy Wee hummed softly when she cooked, off-key and unbothered. How Amina brewed tea like a ritual, never rushing the steeping. How the children spoke with wide vocabulary and wilder questions. How meals were served in large bowls meant to be passed, never plated alone. She struggled at first. She reached for her phone during dinner. She folded Jabari's shirt without asking and was gently corrected when he burst into tears because Mama folds the giraffes in, not out. She apologized. She listened. And slowly, the house began to stretch enough to let her in. Not fully, not yet, but partially, with conditions, like new roots in cautious soil. Some afternoons, she and Amina sat under the neem tree, while the children played. They didn't talk much. Sometimes Amina read aloud. Sometimes Layla shared memories of Amina's childhood, not the harsh ones, but softer ones. The time she sang to a goat until it slept. The mango tree she once tried to climb during a rainstorm. I didn't understand you back then. You weren't like other girls. You were something else, bigger than the rules. I needed you to love that bigness, not fear it. Amina responded, softly. Layla nodded. She didn't offer excuses. She only whispered, I'm trying to, now. Lindy Wee kept a quiet distance at first, not out of hostility, but protection. For Amina, for the children, for the hard-earned peace they had carved out from jagged histories. She watched the way Layla interacted with Nyasha, slow, hesitant, but kind. She noticed how Layla began taking notes in a little green book plant, names, recipes, Swahili words she had forgotten. She heard Layla cry once, quietly, behind the hut after dinner. She didn't interrupt, but the next day, Lindy Way left a jar of lavender oil at her door. No words, just care. One afternoon, Nyasha and Jabari came running from the far garden beds, arguing loudly. Nyasha broke the basil! Did not, it was the wind. The basil plant lay sideways, stalk bruised. Layla rushed over, instinctively reaching to scold, but Amina was already there, kneeling. Hey, it's just a stem, not a spirit. We don't shout over broken things. Layla paused, watching. Amina picked up the basil gently, replanting it, patting the soil back around it like a blanket. She then turned to the kids. We'll water it. We'll watch it. Sometimes things break. Doesn't mean they won't grow again. Layla swallowed hard. Later that night, she wrote in her notebook. Sometimes things break. Doesn't mean they won't grow again. On her 6th day, Layla came to Amina holding an old, weathered photo. Creased, faded. It was of Amina at age 7, grinning toothless, covered in mud, holding a tiny sprout in a plastic cup.
You grew this on the windowsill of our flat. Said it was your baby.
Surprised, Amina replied, I don't remember that. I do. I threw it away when you weren't looking. I thought it was messy. Now I think it was sacred. After a long pause, Amina reached out and gently to the photo. You still remember the roots. On Layla's 7th evening, Amina invited her to join the Women's Garden Circle, a monthly ritual where neighbors, elders, queer kin, and local herbalists gathered under the stars, sharing herbs, stories, and silence. No performance, no introductions, just showing up. When Layla sat down between a queer ceramicist from Masalani and a young farmer with rose tattoos, she looked nervous. But when it was her turn to speak, she held up a small clay pot of rosemary she had tended herself that week. I used to think love had to look a certain way. I was wrong. I don't know how to do it your way. But I'm here to learn, and I'm listening. The circle murmured in affirmation. Someone passed her honeyed tea. Someone else offered tobacco for the fire. That night, Layla didn't feel like a visitor. She felt like a beginner. Which, here, was enough. Under the guava tree, Amina sat on a straw mat, peeling oranges with Nyasha in her lap. Layla came quietly kneeling beside her with her own basket, half filled with rosemary, lemongrass, and hope. They didn't speak much, just peeled and passed pieces back and forth between them. It is not a reconciliation tied in a bow. It is not perfect. It is not clean. But it is real.
This is QueerAfrique, where African queer stories bloom boldly. Subscribe to witness more. Share the story and let's gather around the fire. Until next time.